Hey there, mamas! You are listening to Release Your Inner Power podcast, where we talk about having both me time and being the best mom, sharing stories, encouragement, and tips for taking the steps to release that inner power and that mom guilt. I'm your host, Shauna B. Here we go. Are you tired of feeling overwhelmed and stuck in the chaos of life? It's time to reclaim your peace and your power. Guess what? I have something for you, a free checklist that will transform your days from chaos to calm, helping you boost your day and set yourself up for success. Just imagine waking up each morning with more clarity and purpose, ready to tackle whatever comes your way. This checklist is designed specifically for women like you who are ready to prioritize their well-being and their productivity during the day. Simple yet powerful strategies. This checklist will guide you through creating a morning routine that sets a positive tone for your entire day. Say goodbye to stress and hello to more calmness. From mindfulness practices to time management tips, each item on this list is carefully made to help you get a sense of calm amidst all of the chaos in daily life. You'll be amazed on how small changes can make such a big difference. Don't let another day slip by feeling overwhelmed and frazzled. Get your free checklist and start this journey from chaos to calm. It's time to take control of your life, my friend, and thrive. Check out the show notes for the link to get your checklist today. And remember, you deserve to feel empowered, motivated, and some more in each day of your life. This mama that we're meeting today is a dedicated self-defense and prevention expert. She is very passionate about preparing moms and their children for safety in the world. She also talks about the hard situations that most moms don't even want to talk about, as well as shares tips and info on how to be prepared. Come and see what Carrie has to say. Hello. Welcome back to Release Your Inner Power podcast. I have a special guest with us today. Her name is Carrie. She is going to be sharing some of her story and talking to us about beating disaster and what that means. Hi, Carrie. How's it going?
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited. I'm excited for all of the stuff that you're going to share today. So tell us who Carrie is and how she got to where she's at today.
Wow. That story is like what made my business exist. So as much as I love to separate myself from like work, it's like, whoa, but my work it's really my life experience. And I'm one of those people who have a lot of stories that, people don't like to talk about. And it made me who I am today and got me to a place where I'm able to help other people avoid and evade some of the things that I went through. So beating disaster has to do with physical safety, even emotional safety, because there's harms outside of physical violence that hurt and that can change your life. But I got amazing parents. They did the flashcards, the safety flashcards, you know what I mean? They put me in karate. They made me go. They dropped me off crying. They did not care. They're like, I'm going to know how to be safe because the world is scary, And I had a sheltered childhood. My parents loved me. They gave me everything they never had when they were kids. And that sounds like the right recipe for a confident, competent, safe person. And I've been victimized different ways at different times in different scenarios. And it's like, well, wait a second. I have medals from winning karate competitions. Like I breathe martial arts. Like I am capable of mass destruction. Like how did bad things still happen to me? Because they told me it couldn't happen to me. They told me it wouldn't happen to me. And I still loved karate. I never stopped going to karate. And I never felt like karate failed me because it didn't. I failed to use karate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it turns out, and it's like specifically for women and children, we are unwilling or unable, or it's not appropriate to defend ourselves in the majority of the scenarios and situations we find ourselves in that are unsafe. Mm-hmm. So it kind of creates a bit of a problem. It's like, okay, so if a stranger ever tried to hurt me, it would suck for them, but it wasn't a stranger. So eye gouges and groin kicks just aren't appropriate on authority figures. You know what I mean? Like you can.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to do it, I support you. I chose not to. There's been times in my life where it's like, okay, I need to choose between my financial security and my physical safety. Not my financial security, but my physical security in terms of like where I live, my life. I have to choose. It's like, am I really, and then today what's really horrible is you have to choose. Our legal system is not very nice when we help.
Yeah.
It's not nice. So it's like, okay, I can do that. Okay. Is it worth it? And if it is, I encourage do it. If it's worth it, and if that's what you know what you need to heal. And if that's what you need to heal, do it. But if that sounds terrible and you can't stomach it, don't do it. You can heal other ways.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, I always teach karate. I'm always teaching karate. I love karate. I'm passionate about karate. I love to spend time, especially with a woman or a child who just feels incapable, and show them what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
The right information. And it's a great time. But then my career today, I still teach karate for fun. And then I taught self-defense for like a decade. I taught self-defense because karate was just more like you're talking about like a 10-year commitment before you're even worth your, it's a lifestyle, and it's not for everybody. And you should not, like, just because you don't have the time or the whatever, that doesn't mean you deserve to be hurt. You know what I mean? Like there are shortcuts, or there are things that you can do. And again, people assume it's like groin kicks and eye gouges, which, by the way, I'm a huge fan. Have I ever used that in self-defense? Actually, I did use one, not the eye gouging. I did kick somebody in the groin in self-defense. And you know what? It didn't work. And that's part of my story too. The reason why it didn't work is because if people are under the influence of drugs or alcohol, they may or may not feel that. Oh, by the way, or adrenaline. Adrenaline can be a reason why somebody doesn't feel that. So you better hope that your attacker does this all the time so he doesn't have adrenaline, you know what I mean? So he can feel the pain that you're inflicting. There's just all these things that people just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the flashcard said, oh, well, the book said, oh, well, they told me in the dojo. And it's like, yeah, because in the dojo, you're fighting sober, sane people who care, who are showing up. They're safe enough to show up in a routine on a regular basis. The people who commit crimes, they're probably not sober.
Yeah.
They have mental health issues.
Yeah.
So inflicting pain might work, it might not work, and just, again, I'm talking about mental health in a little bit, but so I ended up teaching self-defense, and in teaching self-defense, I learned, like, one, I was seeking a lot too, trying to figure out, like, how in the heck does somebody like me who's nationally known, world known, whatever, how does somebody like me end up getting victimized multiple times? What? Like, one, it's embarrassing. Like, talk about shame, because everybody's like, oh, they're so good. Yeah, well, in the dojo, it's like, well, that's not helpful.
Yeah.
How do I apply martial arts to doing the dishes and to everything else in my life? And it's valuable and I totally support it. But in those situations, I was not willing to use it. It was a conscious choice. I chose not to. There's things that we can do, and that's what that self-defense is. So I learned what was missing and how it happened to me. And it has to do with our mindset. It has to do with mental blocks. It has to do with how we view certain things. And so I was really excited. So 10 years of teaching self-defense, and like, people take a self-defense class because they're worried about strangers. And then as I'm teaching self-defense classes, they're not being assaulted by strangers. Not like it doesn't happen. I'm not saying it never happens, because that's not how violence works. But, the stuff that just because it's not reported, it doesn't mean it's not happening.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I found out that moms need to learn how to defend themselves against their drunk brother. or against like a sibling suffering from addiction, or a parent with dementia, or they need to know their best friend's drunk husband. You're like, oh, just kick him in the groin, gouge him in the eyes. You can. It'll work. I mean, the eyes will, but it's so as long as you're good with that friendship going in the toilet.
Yeah.
You get to choose. But so I teach tools that allow us to progressively escalate with a situation. It's all the things in between, because I had compliant and I just ruined your life. You're on disability now. Sorry. And it's like the deal is that life is in here, in the middle. So that's what I teach in like physical classes. And then in doing that, like I said, I ended up learning that moms just wanted, I already knew, we just want to get to the car and put our groceries in the car. Like our goals aren't that lofty, we're just, it's really just basic stuff. Like I want to be able to have a friend without worried about her husband. I want to be able to have somebody come fix the heater at my house without worrying about like jeopardizing my children's safety. And it's just what it is. And then if you go somewhere and you tell people that, they're like, you're ridiculous. Like, that's dumb. It's like, it's actually a pretty legitimate concern. Just because it's not reported doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
And sometimes even when it's reported, people don't necessarily know. Like, for example, I have a friend who was in her own garage and somebody that is her neighbor attacked her.
Yeah.
Randomly, just out of nowhere, and if she didn't have the bear mace right there, who knows what would have happened, and she unloaded it. So, I mean, who would say like, oh yes, my neighbor, like you don't know, not saying like, it's going to come at you, but just, you never know where or when, and you just need to be prepared. So when it does, you know what to do. You know what to do, how to handle the situation, or have a tool that you can use. So you're not just like, oh, this is happening,
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, is that's why I'm not going to use names, but there's a bunch of things out there on the market that are, they market to our fear because I'm afraid.
Right.
And they're tools that I don't know how to use, or they're not legal to use. I was told they were legal, but they're not. It's like, and I don't call it self-defense. If you save yourself to spend it, and, if you're going to save your life to spend it in prison, that's kind of not a very good trade. I don't call that a win. That's not a win in my book. So, but things that we can do that are safe, that are appropriate. And like you said, it's like she's willing to use that tool on somebody that she knows. And that's each person. We all know what we are and are not willing to do. And if you take the time to think about it, which is part of being prepared, and that's what, that's what I do today. It's called Mama Bear Prepared. And it's about, because we're all mama bears. It's in there. It's we can take it from you, but we do talk ourselves out of it. We talk ourselves out of it. Again, the mind. It's all about the way that we think about things. So that's the focus of all of this stuff. And then applying it to the actual stuff, the real everyday stuff, like your mother-in-law pushing herself on you or signing you up for stuff that you don't want. And it's like, well, what does that have to do with being physically safe? Well, if you're walking through the parking lot obsessing over your mother-in-law bullying you and you're not paying attention to your surroundings, that absolutely affects your safety. And it's more than just physical safety. We're talking about our emotional security. Talking about our emotional security. My specialty is knowing like what people who are targeting others, what they look for, and I help people become not that.
Right.
Because they're looking for specific things. They're looking for specific things. And by the way, it's the person who doesn't know or isn't willing to tell their mother-in-law no. That sucks. As long as you don't cross paths with them, it's fine. But the deal is if you work on a certain set of traits and skills, you can walk down an alleyway filled with people and they want nothing to do with you because you're too much work. And that's my focus. Because you can live in fear. We can talk about weapons and mace and all the pros and cons, and then I'll do it. I'm happy to, I'm willing. But it's more valuable, in my opinion, to talk about how can we become undesirable? How can we become a target that nobody, no, they're like, why? We live in a time where there are willing victims everywhere. Everywhere. You just need to be a more difficult victim.
Right.
Hard.
Mm-hmm.
Which is great because we focus on like how much grace there is and how much room we have, and we just focus on becoming, more equipped. And we'll stick with the mother-in-law example. There's 10 of them. There's 10 key things, and that's one of them. So I work on these skills, and you're like, well, wait a second. What happens if I develop these skills? It's more than just being an unlikely target for crime. You're talking about like, oh, you're just going to be a more fulfilled person. Oh, you're going to have more peace and serenity in your life. Oh, you're going to have better relationships. It's like, oh no, stop.
Yeah.
Like, why does this matter? And why I'm like, do I get to do this? I get to do this for moms specifically because guess what? We don't do it for ourselves. Do this for me. I know I need therapy. I know I have problems. I know I'm uncomfortable telling people no. I know all this. I don't have time for this. But it's like, well, wait a second. You want your kid to be safe, and you'll do anything. You'll do anything to help your kid be an unlikely target for harm. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? Monkey see, monkey do. Come on, let's work on it.
Yeah.
They're watching you and they're emulating you. They're just I can tell my kids about setting and upholding boundaries till I'm blue in the face. We can read books. They're watching me.
Mm-hmm.
They're watching. If I'm not doing it, they're not doing it.
Oh, I know. I totally think that like talking about it is kind of like, it is planting a seed, but it's totally different when your actions and they see you doing it. It's like nurturing the seed as you're planting it. Yeah. Right? Like it's so much deeper than that by actually, actions speak louder than words.
And so I get to help moms with their kids. Like I help the moms, right? I help moms, and then they get to do this stuff with their kids, and we're developing these skills together.
Yeah.
So great, because we're not motivated to do this stuff. You're talking about grown-up stuff here. That's too much.
Yeah.
Let's Netflix and chill. That's too much. Like, let's not. Let's like, what? You want your kid to experience what you experience? Because more moms than not have a horrible story that changed their life and ruined their ability to trust people.
Yeah.
Oh. So it's like, we don't want that for our kids. And that's how some of this content worked out and how this stuff evolved. It's like, okay, so now I have a daughter, and then she's got special needs. And by the way, she's got behavioral issues that aren't fixed through good parenting. Holy cow. What the heck do I do with that? And that's another thing is I help moms with their kids and their behavioral issues because they're beyond. You go to a therapist and they're like, it's your poor parenting. That's why your kid's behaving like this. It's because you're not a good parent. That's like, what? And then I believe them because I'm tired and trying everything and giving everything, including my soul, to help my kid, and therapists and therapy and all this, and it's like, because of my background in martial arts and grappling and violence prevention, I know how to talk to a volatile person so they don't explode at me. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, I'm equipped for this. And I did great. And that's great. There were times that I needed to restrain her on the floor. And I'm on the floor thinking, how do other moms do this? Like, how do other moms do this? I'll call it really lucky. The home that I grew up in, one of my siblings has the same diagnosis codes as my daughter. So I got the opportunity. My parents did all the things that everybody tells you to do. They did their best. I mean, we're talking, they invested everything they could in helping my brother. And I got to see all the areas that don't work. So I got to start something different with my daughters. Now, we're not doing that. My parents did it and it did not work. I'm not doing that. My parents did it and it didn't work. I'm not doing that. And so I got to start with all the major stuff, all the cliche stuff that everybody says is the solution. off the table, thanks to, at the unfortunate expense of my brother. But,
Right.
it wasn't for no reason.
Right.
So,
And I think it's, I'm really glad that you brought this up because, I feel like when you're in a situation when you have a kiddo that, has behavioral issues and one, it's like stages, right? Like one, you're like, holy like, is this really happening? Like and then you do question like, am I a good mom? Can I do this? Can I do that? And then you're like jumping through all these hoops. Like you said, the cliche things, you're jumping through all these hoops. You're doing this, you're doing that. And you're like, why isn't anything working? Because, there's no way if
and
you're
then
soon and
your
you know,
therapist, and then your therapist will tell you it's because you're not committed.
I know it's
Your
crazy.
therapist will tell you it's because your partner's not on board. If you were just doing it right, it would work. And it's like, and how do you know? How do you know? Have you seen it work?
Yeah.
They read it in a book. They mean well.
Yeah.
Well, but this is like on the job training. And that's the thing. All that textbook stuff, if textbooks were right, then I would have never been victimized in any way, shape, or form yet, let alone multiple ways.
Right.
Books worked.
Right. Yeah. I feel like there is more. I feel like that when you're in that situation and you are really trying to figure out, because you're questioning your parenting and it's just the natural thing of feeling guilty and all of that, and really having to evaluate the situation of how can I help my child through this because you are the guide, right? There's no books for this. Even if there was, like you said, it doesn't mean it's going to work. Like there's no, there's not like, oh, I'm going to Google this and it's just going to give me the 10 things and we're going to be great. No, that's not how it works. It's literally, like you said, it's on the job training. You have to go through this over and over and try, or, things like how you said, you help with a multitude of things that go around this particular scenario. But a lot of moms too will close the door and they don't want to talk about it because they are questioning their parenting. They're questioning if they're good enough and they're questioning what to do. And I don't want to talk about this because people are going to judge me and people are going to think I'm a bad mom. And I mean, it's kind of baffling a little bit to think about it and step back a little bit and like, if there's a kiddo, let's say at the grocery store and they're losing their business and it's just like crazy, whatever. How many people look at them and is like, oh, well, if you would have done this, then it would have stopped, when you have no idea what that backstory is. You have no idea what that poor parent has been through or what is about to go down. Like you don't know anything. And the last thing that somebody wants when they're in public and that happens is for Judge Judy's all over. Like, no, thank you. Right. And to know that there is an opportunity or a place to either discuss, talk about, problem solve, figure it out is like amazing. But I also think that, moms need to like give themselves friggin' permission to be like, this is what it is. And until I admit that this is the situation and it is freaking hard and I'm doing the thing and I'm noticing it, you're already a good mom because you are trying to figure it out. You are working towards it. You are noticing it. You're not pushing it off or dismissing it or not doing anything. If you weren't doing anything, it'd be like, what's going on? That's when you need to be like, what's up with you? But that's not the case. Usually they're like doing the thing, trying the things, trying this, calling this person, doing, they'll try anything because they want it to be better. They want to help their kid. They don't want this to be happening anymore. So I love that you work with moms to help them with this because this is hard.
Yeah. Well, and it's hard to find a safe place to get help because not all helpful is help, but not all help is helpful. In fact, experiences is I had a ton of help and it's, I actually, you can go to the Beating Disaster website. There's a blog article on finding helpful help, how you can qualify your help so you're not investing your energy in something that's not going to pay off because we don't have time for that.
Yes.
But like you said, when I feel like I'm a bad parent, when I feel bad, when I feel alone, when I'm desperate because I have a black eye for my own freaking kid, or, and it's like, just for any mom that's listening, It's okay if it, no matter how extreme you think it is, it's okay. Sometimes good moms put their children in an inpatient facility to get help. Like sometimes that's what a good mom looks like. It doesn't feel good, and that's okay. But you like there's like a whole thing there. There's a whole thing there. But the deal is just in case nobody goes anywhere with any of this and they just listen, and it's like you are equipped. That's why I like it's Mama Bear prepared. You're already a Mama Bear. You are already equipped, and if you just invest in yourself, if you take care of yourself, even the best that you can, take care of yourself. There is something inside of you that tells you what your kid needs. And the world's going to tell you you're wrong. No, you're not. You're not. It might need to be like, it's the right answer. You might be coming from the wrong angle, but I promise you the answer is right. It's just about finding the angle, and trusting yourself, because we don't. It's hard when you have a therapist with all these plaques on the wall, and they're like, I know, and you're wrong. You're like, how many kids do you have? Oh, you don't have kids? I knew everything about parenting before I had kids too. I know. Thank you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And then when you have so much doubt too, and you're like trying to figure it out and all of that, yeah, that's a tough place to be. That's a tough place to be.
Yeah. And we don't have to do this alone. We're not supposed to do it alone. We don't have to do it alone.
Correct.
I'm a better prepared mom.
Yeah. I like how you said that it's already in there and you are equipped with it, because that is so true. Trying to really go back in and what's best for your kid, because I personally have had a situation where I went to a therapist and I was asking for their help, and I was asking, and their technique was not working.
Yeah.
Like it was not working. And we're talking months. And I know that things, when with kiddos and like changes of habits and things, what have you, it takes a little bit of time. It's not going to be instantaneous. But when you work with somebody for months and months, and you're like, this is always the outcome, this is always the thing, it's like, this isn't working. And then when you go tell them it's not working, it's like, oh, it's not enough time.
Yeah.
Then you're like, but it doesn't, like, I flat out said this does not feel right. This does not feel like the right way of his, like the way he responds does not feel like it is the right way. I don't know how to explain that, but I knew inside that it was not the right way. And I had to ask for something different because it wasn't working. Like I'm basically, like you said, wasting my time and energy and money on something that is not doing the thing that I need for him to be able to like succeed and manage and really learn what is going on with him, because I'm not wired like him. I don't understand. And I have to learn how he is wired and what's going on and what his triggers are and all these things, so I can help him manage it appropriately. So when he is a big, huge man, that's not happening as a big, huge man. That's doing a service to my child.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how we keep all this stuff inside because of that, because we're worried about what people are going to say, even if we go get help or whatever. And then when you start cracking that open, finding your people that can talk about it, how much better you feel. And how you said, one other thing that you said that is so key is like taking care of yourself. I cannot agree with you more, like 1,000 times % over. If you have hard situations that you feel alone and you feel like nobody else is going to understand your scenario or situation, which is totally not true. There's people out there that are there. People are out there. It is out there. It's like you having to, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. There's people out there that can support you, but like you taking care of yourself, you taking the time in like filling yourself up, going out and doing something, working out, taking a break, going in your room for 10 minutes by yourself. I don't care what it is. You have to recharge your batteries or you won't have it when it goes sideways. You won't have it. It'll like, instead of, let's say an episode lasts 20 minutes normally when you're charged, when you're like when I say charged, like you're filled up, you got all the patients, you got all the things, it'll last like 30 minutes. If you are coming from a depleted space,
Yeah.
it lasts for 4 freaking hours. And then you're like, way done. Like, think about how done you were to begin with. You were like way done. So it is so important. Like, I love that you said that, because that's just so important. That's like the number one thing I would say is fill yourself up first.
My favorite part about what I do is like people come to me because they want to keep their kids safe. Right? Then we talk about self-care and they're like, oh no, not that. Do you want to keep your kids safe? Because that's what you got to do. That's how it works. Because you're not going to be aware of what's going wrong if you're not available. You have to be available for that.
Yeah.
So, in the name of safety, go take some time for yourself.
Right? Yeah, I like that. In the name of safety. That's awesome.
Like it's funny, but it's legit.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Because like you said, a depleted mom, I don't notice what's right in front of my face. Like it's not because I'm a bad mom, it's because I'm tired. Because my tied up, I'm busy. My mind is swirling.
Yeah, totally. I love that. Mind is swirling. That is so real. That is so real.
It's exhausting. It takes a lot of energy.
Yeah, it does. It does. And if you don't fill that up and you don't tune into that, talk about swirling mind. It's a whole it's so much more messy. So much more messy.
My focus is prevention. So you can live depleted, and you can live like a ping pong ball, just from event to event and bouncing off from the mother-in-law pushing responsibility on you that's not yours in the first place. And then you take your kids, and then you take the money and work or whatever. And it just, you can ping pong back and forth reacting to all of this stuff. But my job is prevention. Let's prevent bad things from happening. Let's prevent a bad person from taking any interest in you. Let's prevent the overwhelm of the holidays by setting and upholding boundaries. Let's prevent burnout by investing in self-care. Like, it's all about prevention. You don't have to live in prevention. It's so worth it. The transition from here to there is horrible. It's terrible, but it's so worth it. Just the lifestyle of living in a state of fear and chaos and terror, to just, to peace and intention and connection. It's all about like conscious decisions, intentional choices. It's like, once you get there, it's like, why haven't I been here the whole time? I'm can get kind of dull. It's so quiet. Yeah.
Well, and just like you said too, like giving you the tools, like filling that toolbox up so you have something in case it goes sideways. You're not going to be, you're prepared. You are prepared. So it's not, you're not like running around like a chicken with your head cut off because you don't know what the heck to do or whatever. You're prepared, and you know what, what the next step could be, should be, because you have it there. That's all really great. So if somebody was to come to you and just say like, I need help with whatever, I need help with my kid, or I need help with, just like this, being prepared, like, can you give us just a little bit of kind of like how you walk through with somebody, like how that process works, and then let us know where they can find you if they want to reach out to dive into this more?
So I just listen and hear where people are at. Some people just want an online course. Some people need, like, for example, raising nonviolent children. That's the one for struggles with your kid's behavior, whether you have a 2-year-old and it's going, it's a biting, hitting, kicking phase, and, you can get through it quicker and with more sanity, with just a few tips. Or like you said, that mom whose son is like now 15 and it's scary. It's like, what do you do? So that's raising nonviolent children. So you can do just the online course yourself, because some people don't want to talk about it. They're not ready to talk about it. They don't want to. And then you could do it as like a group coaching. So you do it with other people and you find other people like you. Or generally for the mom who has like a more extreme case, they don't want to do group coaching. That's scary. And then there's one-on-one coaching for that. There's prepared children, how to raise your kids with these skills to be an unlikely and difficult target for harm. And the same thing, anything, all the courses are like, you can do a course, you can do group coaching, or you can do one-on-one coaching. And the reason why somebody would want one-on-one coaching for prepared children is if your child has had an experience. And it's the same information, it's all the same, but it might take a little bit more finesse and a little more patience and just a little something extra to get your kid to a place where they are, confident and resilient and comfortable. Because, I mean, how many of us know what it's like to grow up not trusting people?
Mm-hmm.
So our kids don't have to go through that. Even if your child has already had a horrible something, they don't have to take it with them the rest of their life. It can just be a learning experience that, that they take with them and learn from, but they don't have to suffer from it. So, and then bodyguard training for moms. I love it. I'll teach you how to use all your gear and beat the crap out of somebody with it. So
You even say it like sassy, like, yeah, that's my favorite one.
It is. It's a good time because you're like, do I want a stroller or a carrier? Well, let's go over the pros and cons of both. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's more than just that. It's a pre-planning, like choosing your kid's school and like questions to ask. It's really about just the way that you live your life, getting in and out of the car, how to minimize risk and maximize control. And one thing that I'm really excited about is I get to help moms feel like they have more control without being controlling.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
was good. Yeah.
So the online courses, and then there's a Mama Bear community. So no matter what, if none of those sound like, a goal for today, there's still a Mama Bear community. So you're working on, like I said, there's 10 tips to be more safe today. These are the things that we want our kids to have. And it goes hand in hand with all of the content, but it's an online community of moms, of like-minded moms. I have Facebook Lives regularly. I'll teach you how to use anything in self-defense, like this mug, whatever you got. So you can go to a family function with family that, you don't know, and you don't have to go in with bear spray. You know what I mean? You can come in with your mug, and just, the deal is like, I help people be and feel safe. And because we're moms and because we're busy, like we don't have time. So that's why I'm happy to meet people where they're at. You want an online course to do it yourself, to scroll through on your time, no problem. You want some hand holding, or you want somebody to be there and walk through every step with you. And then, like I said, the community for the support, because saying no to a mother-in-law sounds great in theory, but when you come up to the moment where you're supposed to say no, it's like, yeah, I can't do this. I can't do this. And that's like, it's the community is such a big deal to have like-minded moms who care about supporting their children to be independent and resilient, to enjoy life and not run around being afraid of all the bad things in the world, but just being able to have the confidence and the resilience to go out and enjoy what's beautiful about the world. Yeah. Just out there. And you're not going to find it if you hide at home. And P.S., people can break into your home too. So,
right. You're like, and by the way, yeah.
Like hiding, if that's the best defense you got, it's not a guarantee.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing all of those ways. I'm going to put all of Carrie's information in the show notes too, so you guys can reach out to her. If you are really interested in this stuff. I think this is all really important. And I'm so happy that you shared, your stories and the process and what you actually help with, because I think this is much needed. And I'm very happy. I'm very happy with all this stuff. I think it's great. Is there anything else that you want to say to the listeners before I ask you one more question?
Just a reminder that we are way more capable than we give ourselves credit for, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
I love that. That's great. So I always like to ask my women that are on here that share their stories and their gifts with everybody to share what their superpower is. What is your superpower?
Just one? Holy cow. Because I have some people call them like defects of character. I call them superpowers. I don't know. But how about this? A superpower is I can go into a man's world and take all of the high level training with weapons and defense and everything, and I can be insulted and demeaned and made fun of. And like, I go in and I learned the good information from people who have good information to share. And I go in there so you don't have to. 90% of it is useless, but there's some nuggets in there, and I go in and I get them for you. So I call that my superpower.
I like that. I like that. That's cool. Well, thank you so much for being on and sharing all of your stuff with us today. I'm so happy that you were on the show.
Thanks for having me, Shauna.
I just want to say thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, learned something new, or got a juicy takeaway that will bring in that heck yeah back into your life. I release a new episode each week, so make sure to subscribe. If you love the show, want to share a story, comment below. If you know someone that would love or need this episode, be sure to share it with them. I'm sure they would love you for it. Tag me and find me on social media at Ignited Decisions on Instagram and Shauna with Ignited Decisions on Facebook. I would love to know what episode you listened to and how it helped you, as well as connect on social. Okay, mamas, claim your time and release your inner power.